Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here. Welcome to a Dragon Ball discussion. I want to talk about transformations. More specifically, I want to talk about Goku's transformations, considering the fact that Goku is the main character in Dragon Ball, and he's gone through the most transformations in the entire series. Also, the reason I want to bring this up is because of how transformations were treated throughout the entirety of the series, and what the weight that these transformations go on. The reason as to why this whole discussion was triggered in the first place is because this was around the time that I learned about Goku's new form, which was Ultra Instinct Mastered, which was made after Ultra Instinct was already established as a transformation as well. And honestly, the gap of episodes in between Ultra Instinct and Ultra Instinct Mastered is really short, probably the shortest in transformation history. And it just had me think about a lot of the transformations in Dragon Ball, just throughout the series, not just Dragon Ball Z, not just Dragon Ball Super, throughout all of it. That includes Dragon Ball and even to some extent Dragon Ball GT. And I just want to talk about all of them. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about Goku today, and maybe if this gets popular enough, I'll talk about the others. But transformations in Dragon Ball. So, transformations, just in general in anime, are usually used as a plot device or a scale in order to place fighters, warriors, characters into a specific tier to make them more compatible against or with the fighters that they're fighting against or with. For example, if a fighter is weak and they can't take on an opponent, then a transformation can make a dramatic change in the plot that can justify why they're now able to defeat something. It's just like in anime. Obviously, a Pichu would be unable to have a fair fight against Charmeleon, but if Pichu were to say evolve into Pikachu, then obviously would have a better chance at fighting off the Charmeleon because now it's stronger and its stats equal up. So yeah, that may have been a bad example, but the point of what I'm trying to get to here is that in anime and video games and any form of media, transformations are usually the step that the character takes that they either earn or is obtained through some type of specific conditions in order to make that character stronger, faster, more beast-like, or any of the others that would fully benefit them as a person. So, when we talk about Goku, we gotta go all the way back in terms of transformations, way back into Dragon Ball, where Goku experienced his first transformation looking at the moon and transforming into the Great Ape, also known as the Ozaru. Now, when Goku turns into the Ozaru, it's specifically because he has his tail. Now, obviously, Akira Toriyama didn't think about Goku being a Saiyan yet. He was just known as a monkey boy because he was based off Son Wukong, Journey of the West. So the whole Ozaru transformation wasn't really planned out at this point, but it was given to Goku as an opportunity to escape a situation that they were in. They were trapped inside of Emperor Pilaf's castle, unable to stop him from using all the Dragon Balls in order to summon Shinran and, rule the world. At this point, Goku had looked at the moon, much like how someone would look at the moon and turn into a werewolf, and Goku turned into a great ape, which gained several sizes. He's 10 times stronger, or 100 times stronger, than he would normally be. He completely crashes the entire area, and it provides the heroes with a way to escape. And it's a beastly form that Goku has that couldn't be controlled. He becomes animalistic and primitive. And that's really the only time Goku went through that transformation, all the way up until the World Martial Arts Tournament when he fought against Master Roshi, a.k.a. Jackie Chun. And when he fought off against Jackie Chun, he turned into the Great Ape again, causing the entire area to be under attack by his animalistic type nature. This was supposed to be a foreboding, something that was supposed to give us a level of fear, not just in the fact that Goku is transformed into a super powerful beast-like creature that can't be contained, but it was also something that gave us a level of understanding and fear as to how powerful Goku can be when he has no control over his actions. Obviously, Jackie Chun was able to blow up the moon and pull off Goku's tail, and Kami was able to do it as well to prevent this transformation from happening again. We see this transformation happen several other times in Dragon Ball Z with Gohan and several other Saiyans like Vegeta, where this actually happens, but Vegeta actually has more control of it because he's a high-class Saiyan used to the transformations and fully aware of what they are capable of. So, It was at this point we also learned that this was the very transformation that killed Goku's grandfather, Grandpa Gohan. And Goku has a minute to lament over the aspects of his actions and knows that the form is a terrible form that makes him beast-like with no control of his actions, and he is able to take in the grief of that during the battle with Vegeta. So the transformation, while it's short-lived for Goku, it doesn't really have that much like emotional weight on him until, you know, he finally realizes what that transformation was. So then we move on, and Goku doesn't really have any other transformations outside of this, except for maybe the Kaioken. But I'm not really going to count the Kaioken, because Kaioken is more like a power-up, a temporary one at that, more or less than a transformation. On this video, transformations pretty much are a state of which a character is one way, and then they have an appearance that dramatically changes that makes them significantly stronger in some type of way, shape, or form. So I guess the next logical step to move on is the iconic transformation of Super Saiyan. Now, obviously, Super Saiyan had a lot of weight and build-up behind it, considering the fact that Vegeta built this entire transformation up since the very beginning. If you want to look at Dragon Ball Z canonically, like not in the way that things came released, but in a way that I would prefer watching it, obviously before you even touch Dragon Ball, you would watch Bardock, the father of Goku, first, because it's the prologue to all of the events that happen afterwards. Obviously, Frieza fears the power of the Saiyans, hence why he destroyed them. No, we're not going to go ahead and take in that, oh, Beerus told him to do it crap. I mean, Frieza legitimately knew that Saiyans were getting stronger through each mission every time they came back from the brink of death, and eventually a Saiyan would eventually grow to be the strongest Saiyan, aka the Super Saiyan, the legendary Super Saiyan foretold in stories and legends that could probably overthrow Frieza. Frieza didn't want to take his risk, so he went ahead and took the obvious route and destroyed all of the Saiyans on planet Vegeta. So a majority of the Saiyan race is destroyed to stop the foreboding of the legend that is the Super Saiyan. Vegeta built this up even further when he kept trying to come back and heal himself from the brink of death through the fights he had with all of Frieza's soldiers, the Ginyu Force, etc., etc., slowly trying to gain his power to the level where he becomes the legendary Super Saiyan, which is something he thought was a birthright given to him, considering that he is in a high-class level of all of the Saiyan warriors, being born into royalty with the son of King Vegeta. So he thought that this was a transformation, a state that was pretty much entitled to him because he is the one that's taken all the steps necessary in order to be born into a bloodline that would be a prerequisite towards that transformation. Obviously, with a taste of irony, one of the lowest class Saiyan warriors, Goku, is the one that achieves the transformation. And ironically, it's also achieved through his human, earth-grown emotional attachments he has to friends like Krillin and several other beings on planet Earth when he grew up as a baby. So ironically, the Saiyans have a less emotional way of fighting when it comes to fighting each other, fighting other aliens. They don't care about people, and they're more like the Spartans. They can't really afford to have emotional attachments because they feel emotional attachments are weakness, which the Super Saiyan transformation, ironically, is the result of letting your emotions take over and giving into a new accessed level of power. So the Super Saiyan transformation within itself carries a lot of emotional weight behind it, and that's what makes it the most iconic, because it was the first ever to be a transformation in shonen anime history that revolves around the character's feelings relating to the death of something or someone they love, which in result causes that power to burst and becomes a need and not just a lust for strength or a gain of power until you become the strongest ever and no one can stop you. It definitely made sense considering the fact that Super Saiyan was achieved through the need and rather than the desire and the want to be that transformation. Moving on, we move on to Super Saiyan 2, which I'm going to briefly hop on Gohan for a second, even though this Goku has this transformation as well. Gohan achieved this transformation pretty much the same way that Goku achieved the Super Saiyan transformation. The only difference is that Gohan is a half Saiyan, so it actually makes a lot of sense that him or Trunks would have achieved this form before Goku or Vegeta, because some of those human emotions are emotions that they were born with. Goku was raised with human emotions. Gohan was born with them in his body. That's why he has bursts of power that fluctuate every time within his earlier battles that all came to a conclusion when he turned Super Saiyan 2. Now, as far as Goku goes with the Super Saiyan 2 transformation, while obviously we got to see the Super Saiyan 2 transformation when he fought against Majin Vegito, we don't know exactly how he gained Super Saiyan 2, but the reason that Super Saiyan 2 for Goku was attained was considering the fact that the show had already reached a level where Super Saiyan 2 was the margin in which Gohan broke, so it would make no sense for Goku and Vegeta and the others to have spent 7 years training and they had not gained the transformation themselves. Vegeta gained it via him turning Majin and him having that mental corrupted conflict of whether or not he should be Majin or not Majin, which allowed him to access his level of Super Saiyan 2 via the anger and frustration of not being at the level that Goku would be at. Goku obviously gained it through training, intense training that we never get to see on screen, but we can pretty much confirm that Goku met a level that was necessary for him not only to reach Super Saiyan 2, but the next level of Super Saiyan, which was Super Saiyan 3. Super Saiyan 2 was pretty much in transformation also gained by Goku because he knew that the other forms of Super Saiyan would not be enough in order to beat their primary opponent they were fighting at the time, which was Perfect Cell. During the course of Dragon Ball Z, the Ascendant Saiyan transformation was a transformation that both Vegeta and Goku obtained, but it showed to consume way too much energy. So while it did give a nice power boost, it consumed way too much energy. The same can be said for this form that Goku and Trunks obtained during the Hyperbolic Time Chamber training, which was known as the Ultra Super Saiyan transformation, which consumed way too much power and also cost a lot of speed. So it taught the Z Warriors that just powering up and making yourself more stronger and stronger and stronger isn't going to work in these type of fights, which was a really good lesson taught to the audience that just getting stronger isn't going to be enough. Goku is a genius at fighting, so learning Super Saiyan 2 for him isn't exactly a surprise. So while the transformation of him going Super Saiyan 2 was off screen, it is a pretty easy pill for us to swallow considering that Goku invented the full power Super Saiyan, which was basically his regular Super Saiyan transformation, only this time it's more energy efficient. I can give you a real life example of me, for example. I used to run cross country. Now, cross country practices were good for us because it allowed our lungs and endurance to expand, which would make it so that we can run for long periods of time without running out of breath. A person can sprint, but the average person can only sprint without any real training or exercise or being an Olympic sprinter. The average person can only sprint for about at most 15 seconds. Well, with a lot of endurance training and, building up your lungs and your lung capacity and your endurance, that would give you the ability to sprint for 1 minute, 2 minutes at a time without losing that excess energy. So it was a very energy efficient way of turning Super Saiyan. So it would be no surprise to me that Goku had found a way to master Super Saiyan 2. And just to up the level of the stakes, Goku did turn Super Saiyan 2 after Super Saiyan 2 was already an achieved transformation by Gohan, such Gohan set the bar for that transformation already to be set in stone, and the other two fighters that obtained Super Saiyan 2 pretty much made the weight of Super Saiyan 2 still powerful because they used it within the fight against each other rather than Goku just turning Super Saiyan 3 and ending it. Which is a nice way to segue on to Goku's third transformation, which is Super Saiyan 3. Now, when Goku turned Super Saiyan 3, obviously, the transformation in itself is a mystery as to how he obtained it, but the reason that the Super Saiyan 3 transformation is so important is just considering the fact that the Super Saiyan 3 transformation gives him a great power boost but comes at a great cost. Energy. It costs a lot of energy, and thus, in most video games and manga and in the anime, Goku uses the Super Saiyan 3 only in brief bursts rather than using it for long periods of time because he can't afford to waste all of that energy on that transformation. So it still has some weight to it in the sense that it comes with a cost and thus is a very justifiable transformation. So now that we're done with all the major transformations in Dragon Ball and in Dragon Ball Z, I guess it's now a good time to discuss the transformations that existed later. I want to briefly go ahead and touch over Dragon Ball GT with Goku's Super Saiyan 4 technique, just only because the Super Saiyan 4 was definitely a different transformation that felt like it was a step more towards Goku's Ozaru form, which didn't really rely too heavily on emotion, but it was a nice balance between the two because Goku was able to gain his humanity. So he found a nice middle ground between him being humanoid and him being animalistic. He even explains that he has animalistic qualities when he's in Super Saiyan 4 transformation. So it's safe to say that this transformation was a middle ground between all of that. But he still winds up being humanistic in the sense that he still has feelings and emotions when he's at this transformation state. And he's gained a lot of power. The problem with this transformation, however, though, is that it doesn't come with any real drawbacks except, like I said, the almost aggressive nature. But we don't really see much of that in Goku when he turns Super Saiyan 4. So it's easy to see why this transformation just sort of exists as a generic power-up. The way he got it was very unique. It's just, at the same time, it just sort of existed. Moving on to Dragon Ball Super, or to a better extent, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, we've got the Super Saiyan God transformation, which personally, next to Super Saiyan 2, is one of my favorite transformations. Rather than Goku yelling and powering up and becoming a new transformation, this transformation, while it does lean a little on the marketing side because there's not much change other than Goku's hair just turning red and him being a little bit slimmer, I like the fact that there's a level of Super Saiyan that isn't numbered, so it doesn't feel like it's just a repetition of Super Saiyan transformations. It's called God mode specifically because, in a way, I always felt like this should have been the end-all, be-all transformation for Goku, because what exceeds a godly transformation? Well, there's still more. The Super Saiyan God transformation, to me, is a transformation that I felt had a lot of meaning behind it. Pure-hearted Saiyans have to gather together in order to give Goku energy, thus turning him into the Super Saiyan God transformation, which I felt makes sense considering the fact that earlier ago, like I said, Saiyans that are more in touch with their physical, human-like emotions are the ones that wind up transforming into this way rather than the Great Ape form, which was more of an animalistic transformation. This made a lot of sense within the context of the movie because it allowed Goku to access a power that he would never be able to really reach on his own unless he relied on the power of all of his friends and family. So I felt like there was a lot of weight behind this transformation, as if it was a milestone that Goku wanted to reach, but he could never get to unless he focused down, locked down, and did some intense training, which eventually it did become that way. Unfortunately, we move on to the next transformation, Super Saiyan Blue. Now, you know what? Aesthetically, I actually do like Super Saiyan Blue as a transformation in the sense that I do like the idea of a transformation where red was the start and then blue is like the flames getting more intense because a flame that's blue is more hotter than a flame that's red. Makes sense, right? Well, yes and no. Super Saiyan Blue to me kind of just existed. It feels like it only existed for the purpose of fighting off against Golden Frieza in the Resurrection F movie. Literally, the movie starts off with Goku and Vegeta just turning Super Saiyan Blue, and then Dragon Ball Super briefly shows Goku and Vegeta gaining this godlike power in order to make the transformation as well. But it really feels like we're starting to move into marketing territory with this one. Super Saiyan Blue just sort of exist. I mean, I know Toriyama actually did a better job in the manga with Goku gaining a level of perfect Super Saiyan Blue where Goku doesn't leak any godly ki out, so he's able to consume all of the ki perfectly and condense it into his body to make him much stronger. But again, I feel like if Super Saiyan Blue did need to exist, it should have existed more towards the end of Dragon Ball Super instead of just showing up and then being a transformation that's spammed over and over and over and over to the point where it's just not really fun to watch anymore. Super Saiyan Blue, to me, just felt like a marketing transformation. As in its origin story, there's nothing really behind it, and Goku just sort of uses it as, hey, look, he has a new transformation to combat Frieza. I see no reason exactly why Goku couldn't use his red Super Saiyan God to fight off Frieza, or some creative way to defeat him, or something that that didn't need a transformation. I'm sorry, we've done several Dragon Ball Z movies where Goku was just regular Super Saiyan. I mean, we've got Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, the Meta Cooler movie, the regular Cooler movie. All of these movies that were made where Goku was only at Super Saiyan 1 when he beat his opponents. And you mean to tell me we needed him to transform Super Saiyan Blue for this movie? He just transformed Super Saiyan in the movie prior to it, so I don't see a reason why this needed to happen. I'm not going to count Kaioken Blue because, again, that's Kaioken. That's just a power-up to an already made transformation. Even though Dragon Ball Super kind of treats that as a transformation, I'm not counting it. So we'll move on to Ultra Instinct. Honestly, I really like Ultra Instinct. Originally. Ultra Instinct, when Goku had black hair, was nice because it wasn't a Super Saiyan transformation. Goku wasn't the only one that was able to turn into it. I mean, yes, he's the only one that did it in the Tournament of Power, but I'm saying as far as transformations go, anyone can do this transformation just so long as they have the ability to lock in deep within inside themselves and be able to access the reflexes in their body so that the reflexes in their body allow them to move without thinking. Their limbs can move without the head, the brain, making the thoughts for them, thus slowing down their movements. And I really like this concept. It's basically your reflexes, the form, or adrenaline, the form, which I thought was a really cool concept. And honestly, I really like it. The fact that it's not a Super Saiyan transformation means that anyone can do it. The fact that it's your reflexes moving instead of your brain thinking before it makes its actions definitely causes the body to be a lot more active. It's like when you're saving somebody from falling off of a couch or something, or you're saving something just before it's about to fall. Your heart pumps really fast and your whole body feels like it can move at super speed, but you can't think of any of the actions. Your body's doing all of the movements for you. It's like it's on autopilot. So it makes the Ultra Instinct transformation a very cool one in the sense that it utilizes the reflexes to their maximum. Then they went and marketed that up and made it gray. I don't see a real reason why Goku's hair needed to turn gray. This almost looks like that one fan drawing of Super Saiyan 5 that someone made a long time ago in a Dragon Ball Z Beckett magazine, if you know what I'm talking about. And it just feels like a marketing ploy. Honestly, I see no reason why this transformation needed to exist. I see no reason why Goku couldn't just transform Ultra Instinct and beat Jiren. I don't see... Honestly, this transformation exists almost 20 episodes after Goku had already used regular Ultra Instinct, making this the shortest gap in between Dragon Ball transformations that ever existed in the history of ever. It's really sad to see this, that Goku gained these two transformations in one saga, and we really only needed one. You want to know why the silver-haired one exists? Toys. Marketing. I mean, as proof, the DLC for Xenoverse had the transformation come out, and the episode just now debuted where he was able to turn into it. That means the DLC for the transformation was out days before, and in Dragon Ball Heroes, or Super Dragon Ball Heroes, it was already released. So literally, this transformation only exists because it's on the video games. Yay! And now you can have it too for $12.99. It's literally just to get that last... They're squeezing that last bit of advertisement out for Dragon Ball Super before it ends, because it's about to end. Literally, Dragon Ball Super is about to be over. And they felt like they could squeeze one more sale out of us before it's completely gone. And honestly, I think it's the dumbest thing they've ever done possible. Dragon Ball Super to me feels like a spoiled rich kid that's basking in all of the money that Dragon Ball Z made, that it earned. You know, it feels like Dragon Ball Z started a small lemonade stand that made a lot of money and became a lemonade conglomerate based on all of its money. And then some rich kid was given the keys to the lemonade conglomerate company. And rather than work to make the lemonade good, they just mass-produced all the lemonade instead of making it by hand and sugar and love. And now they just mass-produce it all and squeeze government water into it and squish the lemons using this cold machine hand. And they're like, here's your government lemonade. Drink up, bitch. Stupid. stupid. Anyway, I'm ranting. So anyway, that's Goku's transformations and the level of weight that they all carry within them. It's really a shame to see that at the latter, the transformations started off as symbolic meanings, and now they're colors. They're just colors. They're all just colors. See you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out.